the symposium on the India-Myanmar border issue just concluded here at Hotel Akasha in Dimapur, where various representatives from the Kuki community, Kuki Inpi specifically, and from Mizoram as well as Arunachal Pradesh and Nagaland also, and everybody spoke, and representatives from each indigenous tribe or state of the Northeast spoke in regard to the removal of the free movement regime and border fencing that is going to happen, that the center has issued, that the fencing is going to happen at the 1,643 kilometers, that is the bordering of the northeast of India with Myanmar. As we're going to show you that many speakers spoke, and all of them unanimously are opposing the fencing of the border of the northeast region with Myanmar, and many have spoken their mind as well as with a lot of emotions as well. Even the GB Association, the GB Federation representative spoke, as well as MLA Azo Nino, who represented the NPF party, and he has also assured that this will be taken up at the assembly session that is going to happen, scheduled for February 26th, just 10 days from now. It is going to happen, and he said that this will be one of the main topics of discussion, and hopefully the government also reconsiders the removal of FMR. Whereas earlier also the Chief Minister of Nagaland, Nipf, had said that the government is opposing it. Later, after the symposium concluded, they had also taken up a resolution and written a letter to the President of India citing examples and arguing that why this should not be done, why FMR should not be removed and the border fencing should not happen. Let's have a look at today's symposium.
NRPF is so proud to have all these wonderful intellectuals and dignitaries to be part of this symposium today. We thank you once again for your precious time. Let us once again give a warm applause. Now, I give the time to the moderators for the panel of discussion. We have now come to the most important part of this symposium. What we'll do to allow everyone to have a seat, what we'll do is we'll have two segments of this discussion. The first segment will have everyone speaking for about 3 minutes, and then we'll maybe break for about 10 minutes so that the drafter can have some time to prepare the resolutions, and then we'll reassemble and the resolution will be read out. And I suppose in between we'll also circulate the letter that we have already for your suggestions and comments.
Respected moderator, organizing committee, and friends. As the photo is there, a snap is there, I get nervous. Anyhow, let me try to take my time. We don't cross the borders. The borders cross us. On the basis of UN Declaration on the Rights of the Indigenous People, Article number 36, sub number 1 and 2. Here, we the indigenous people are allowed to show our love with our neighbors. So there is no border. I should say, I said this one because when this very article, number 146, was passed, the UN top leaders said that now the indigenous people have a home in the UN. And when this article was passed, even India have voted UNDRIP, September 13, 2007. So why should today's government of India ignore all these articles? So this is a big question. And as a Zohri Unification Organization, we sent a complaint letter to the UN Secretary General. Also, Union Home Minister, Government of India, on the 5th of January 2024. And on that very day, we have issued a press release that we mind this. We don't want this. Removal of everything we know. Fancy, everything we know. And by the way, removal of FMR as well as border fencing. Break up your ours organizations, primeval, ancient object, isn't it? We break up this one because we used to organize a conference as a church, as an organization. So we used to invite our brothers who are there in Burma, who are there in Bangladesh. If this fencing is done at all, that means these two, I used to call it draconian bill. Target your identity, my identity. And regarding this one, who proposed, who moved this? Am I there? Who are there inside 700 square mile to defend themselves from their neighboring indigenous people? So we cannot accept this one. Another question, do the government of India issue a gazette, issue an order that this should be in reality? As we all know, MP election is knocking at the door. Are they bringing these draconian bills for their MP election football? This is also another question. And by the way, we're coming back to UNDRIP. Today, I challenge in good faith. Okay, Naga brothers, do your assembly house pass a resolution in support of UNDRIP. Mizoram State Assembly during Zoram Thanga's ministry, also Lalthanhola ministry, they passed a private resolution in support of this UNDRIP 2 times. Why should they pass a resolution for 2 times? For the first time, to have a resolution on it, and for the second time, to press the central government harder. So today I appeal Naga brothers, please go for lobby among your elected MLAs so that your assembly house will pass a resolution in support of this UNDRIP. And by the way, coming further to this UNDRIP, among the UN state member, Canada is the government that insert all these unread articles in their country constitution. So, in Mizoram, in Nagaland Assembly, if this is passed at all, many rules, laws are there, isn't it? So we can insert all these articles in the state provisions. And as we all know, article number 361A, Z, is with us. What do we have there in Mizoram? Any act, any rules passed by the Union Government of India cannot be directly practiced until and unless it is approved by the State Assembly. So today I'm giving a question to my brother Naga. What is there in your state? 371A, isn't it, in Nagaland? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And our experience during Indo-Bangladesh border fencing, Mizoram lost 15 villages to Bangladesh. Very sorry. Losing even 1 inch without our knowledge, it's hard to reason and to practice. Whereas we have lost 15 villages during 2013. And secondly, another 25 villages, it was divided in the middle. The other 25 goes to Bangladesh, the other 25 comes to us. So this is what happened. And now we have come here like this. I'm really interested to see Nagaland border with your Naga brothers in Burma. There in Manipur we have in More area, Tengnopal district. There in Mizoram we have border with Champhai district. The next one is Chin state. As Burma is in a wrong situation, even the Chief Minister of Chin state is there in Burma, in Aizawl, suddenly. All the elected MP, MLA within Sagaing division and Chin state are with us there in Mizoram. Whereas our government is planning to do all these wrong things. So, coming to the conclusion, is this going to be the first meeting and it will end forever? Will not there be a second meeting, second get together of Nagaland and Mizoram, so that we can go further? And today, if I go back without going to the area where is Naga villages, well, going from Nagaland, I want to see a village in Burma that belongs to the Naga. It's a big challenge. Thank you all.
And I was invited as an individual to begin with by the forum, and I'm representing the Senior Citizens Association. So since I'm representing you, I take at least 6 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think any one of us would have said that FMR removal is a good thing. All of us are in unison, in agreement. I only want to take and paint a broader picture of we as indigenous people
tribals from the beginning of Indian independence. And I normally say that we, the Nagals, are Indians by circumstance, not by choice. To begin with, the international boundary had been set up without any cognizance or any reference or any consultation with the northeastern tribal people that are living in the border area. They know it. They never accepted us as human beings that needs to be consulted or to be treated as equal. And that every time they enter into an agreement, if they don't like it, they throw it into the dustbin unilaterally without the consent, despite the fact that it's a formal agreement. How many times are our tribal people in the Northeast going to be trampled all the time, at any time that the government of India wants, insulting us every step of the way, as if we are not a human being to be respected. The human feelings that prevails in the Northeast. Imagine, you wake up one fine morning and you find that your uncle, your auntie are foreigners. International boundary just being defined with no consultation with any one of us, and they made it a little more easier by way of saying, let there be at least some free movement. Even during the colonial time, they allowed that interactive communication between the populations that are living contiguous to each other, despite the fact that the British had taken over Assam and Manipur even from the colonial years. They accepted that human aspect of it. After India becomes an independent country, it just says international boundary drawn on a watershed. They then cared who was living on either side of the border. And this is rubbing salt into that kind of a soul that has been festering in the Northeast for all these years, and they still continue it. On whose demand, on whose request has this been perpetuated? Whom did Mr. Amit Shah, Home Minister, consult in the Northeast? Except maybe, forgive me for naming, the Chief Minister of Manipur. And is the Chief Minister of Manipur representing the indigenous people of the Northeast as a whole, or does he represent one people only? If he so desires that the fencing must come up, then fence up the valley, Manipur Valley. But let the rest of the tribal people live free as they have to live free. The government of India seems to only understand that when there is a violent reaction, they tend to take decisions only then. Do they want the Nagaland and the northeastern tribal people to come up in arms to oppose this violently? Or would they listen to the fact that we as a human being cannot be treated and insulted as if we are animals? And therefore, as far as we, the people of the Northeast, are concerned, situations such as this is an insult to our beings. And I think we need to do something for them to respect our existence in one way or another. If required, even violently, as far as I'm concerned, I'm more than prepared to encourage even a violent reaction, if that's the only language they can understand. And therefore, you see, Government of India takes a look east policy in the 90s. The look east policy was there for India to wake up every morning and look east and then carry on.
Now they have come to act east with all kinds of visions that they have propounded, with FMR being solidified in 2018. The reality of their activities is this. And if this is the manner in which we are going to be treated, there are more serious issues that I would like the indigenous people to focus on. This is just a little bit of an inconvenience and an insult to the tribals of the Northeast. But I can tell you that the danger that the Christians and the tribals in the Northeast are about to face in the UCC, for instance. Consider the anti-Christian or anti-conversion law that is going to be put on the end with. There are so many social issues that are detrimental to our existence. Now the one fundamental question that starts offering in our hearts and minds is it safe for the tribals of the Northeast to have any connection with India? Is our future safe in the hands of the Indians? Giving us Article 371A for them to piss and spit and shit on by doing this? Where's the right? And I think it's about time that the tribals of the Northeast must all stand up together this time, if necessary, even violently, just so that the government of India can sit up and listen to the voice of the Northeastern people and let them acknowledge us as equal citizens of the country. If not, remember the insurgency of the Northeast didn't just come up. It all came up basically because of that one fundamental reason: we believe we are free. And we can still carry on with that sentiment despite all the agreements that they have so far made, if we are going to review starting from issues like this to the UCC and to the anti-conversion bill and everything else that goes with it. Perhaps the Northeastern tribals will have to look at our status and our position and let the government of India give us a clear statement as to whether we are equal citizens of this country they call India. If not, I think we tribals have a different road to travel. Thank you very much.
Our AMBO people, we have discussed so many times on this issue, and we have gone back. We have gone through, certain is a status, certain is a position, certain is a reason as to why it has come up. And we have seen that from the British era, we were recognized as an administered area. But as the former speaker said, that is not by our choice to be in them. That is true. But I just want to tell like this to the House and the people of Nagaland. Way back in 1953, there was an imaginary line drawn by Indian leaders. And after declaring Nagaland state in 1963, the boundary pillar was built way back in 1968 somewhere. When we look back, I want to tell like this to the leaders, irrespective of the party, political party, and the leaders, what were we doing? When the Indian Constitution, Article 371A says so many things to the freedom were given to us. So many rights were given to us. It is inserted there. But I think we are not reviewing or we are not looking back what has been given to us. Sometimes I feel our leaders are not sincere to guide our people. Every now and then, even the house renovation done, sometimes in the villages, even yearly, they'll check the house before wind comes. And this Article 37 has to be reviewed or revisited. And certain amendments should be done in the House of Assembly, where it says that no act of Parliament can interfere in our resolution. There we have given the freedom, but we have neglected it and we are not that much sincere on it. Yes, as many speakers have spoken, that removing of FMR, thus, in spite of reading so many times, now several people have scrapped this FMR. That shows we are also Indian, and where in the Indian even the Nagaland government and even the Manipur, Mizoram and all, and the stretching to this Arunachal, I think we are in the government. Maybe Congress, maybe PCP, all others, we are in the government. My dear leaders, Naga leaders, I think we should be a little bit alert where we are heading to. Why only focus on forming the government? Should we not take the interest of the Naga people or Northeast people? I think the CM of all the states, Northeast states, they should discuss why they have formed the forum and they are not aware of this kind of thing. I have not seen it, the Longwa village, because I chose not to visit. Why? Because they have divided this Longwa village in the middle of the house or in the middle of the village, making it dual citizenship. And our Indian people, they go and visit as like a tourist spot. We cannot make this kind of thing like visiting the zoo. After dividing our people, they are making fun of it. They are taking it as a tourist spot. It's very interesting and surprising. Are our leaders aware of this? Can you make sense when your people are divided and making fun of it? At one point of time, recently, I spoke in the meeting in the leaders regarding this FMR and regarding the fencing. This fencing that was way back 2018, they came and started constructing in this ITC. Now what side? We destroyed it. We did not allow it. We removed it. And from there, they discontinued. Our Kerala people have constructed one rest house near the boundary, that is in ITC. And from the Google, this Myanmar government said that, and the people said that, now your Indian people has encroached our land. And we were not aware of that. We did not reply. That is very much in our land. That's why I said, if we are to make fencing, we have to follow traditional about it. Because Nagas don't follow kind of this imaginary land come from the helicopter or whatnot. We follow by traditional land, by planting the stones with two parties, left, right. So if we have to put stones, the pillar stones, we have to go by the traditional land. It might go to the extent of Irrawaddy, it might go to the extent of Chimney River, we never know. But if we are to talk about the fencing, we have to go by the traditional boundary, not the imaginary line. That's what we spoke. And accordingly, we have also made a representative to the Indian government regarding this. And this FMR, with a little consideration, provoking us by this putting pillar stone, again fencing, and again this kind of free movement between the brothers. This also they are going to scrap it. This is really a dangerous thing for the Naga society or Northeast people. I think this forum also should pressure to the government that at least they should consider on a humanitarian ground. Because after all, we are all human beings, and after all, we are all same citizens. We cannot simply divide away our people. Of course, now, in reality, we have made the Nagas into two groups. Why? Because it is not by the British government. But our Indian people have divided two groups. That side, Burma side, and the Nagaland side, or Mizoram side, or Manipur side, which has weakened us. That the small portion will fight with the Indian government, the other small portion will fight with military Chanda down there in Burma. So that is the policy we have. Please, our Naga leaders, wake up. You may be in the politics, you may be in this organization. Wake up, and I think we have to put our head together and the push together, fight together, so that our people are not divided, our boundaries are not destroyed, and our original land should not be destroyed. Thereby, we will come to know that Nagas also will have a same feeling. Northeast people also will have a same feeling. As we always say that the indigenous people, when we are divided, that will not give a strong message. So by this meeting, I think I'm thankful very much because I thought I won't be able to speak, or I will not get time to speak, or I thought I was not intended to speak also. But seeing reality, I think this is the high time that we come together and apprise the Indian government to reason and go with the reality. Thank you very much.
The Nagaland Indigenous People Forum and its colleagues. It's a pleasure to be invited to take part in this very important meeting. Actually, I was here just to listen and to learn more about the FMR, not to give you lengthy lectures or advice. I'm thankful I have learned a lot. Well, to be very frank, scrapping of the FMR has hurt a lot of sentiment of the entire life. But more so, the most affected people are the Mon districts, Tlangsang district, Noktak district, Kipri district, and Tech district. I represent the Tech district. Now, first of all, what came to my mind was after 71 years of enjoying these three Muslim regions, what made government of India scrap this? I was thinking. And then I think all of us need to know as to why they want to scrap it. And to me, it's a religious war. Hindu and Christian. If they scrap it, then the influx of Christian population will become less. And Hindu religion will be protected. That's why. Nevertheless, I want to tell all my friends here, I think we should not panic about this issue. Because the entire Naga, Jin, Mizo, Kukis, Arunachal Nagas, they are all against this scrapping of and also, though I am no more in the cabinet, the latest cabinet meeting also, they have decided to go against this scrapping of and as a legislator, I'm also trying to speak up some few friends
security measures and borders is entirely biased in the Unanimously. And they have every right to do anything. They can, on the good side of the story, the positive side, we have articles from the one way protecting us, and in the assembly, we have protect our rights. That is one. Now, I tried to do a little bit research on my own. That's how the history and the immortality of scrapping of Nagaland. Because recently, one Dr. Esak came. He represented the National Unity Government. That is the National League of Democracy from Myanmar. He is more like the ambassador between Monsoon and the government of India. He has visited me and told about the pain, sufferings of our people. So from this day onwards, I tried to do a little research, and I was telling him about that in my conversation. This is the effects of those days leaders, that is the time of Mr. Nehru and Unnu in the 1950s, like our J.K. Sharma is there. This would not have happened. But they did it very officially. At that time, there was no proper roads, no proper communication. Media was not there. At that point of time, there was no media at all. That's why our Naga cry for independence committee was also never heard. That's why I always say that we have a story to tell to the world. The story of injustice, the story of killing, the story of massacre, the story of rape, the story of going down of all these villages, communities. But the world could not hear because there was no social media at all. So at that point of time, they came to Kohima to address the Naga people. But the Nagas were not allowed to speak. That's why they stayed a walk. They had to walk out and that place. And then they dropped an imaginary boundary line. They didn't reach to the far end where Naga people live. And that border, that river, I think that should be considered as Burma, and this should be as India. At that time it was Burma, now it's Myanmar. That was how the area started. But till today, Nagas have not accepted this imaginary boundary line. This was one of the worst things that could have ever happened to the Nagas, dividing family, friends, and communities. They violated their arbitrary international boundary by drawing an unexpected imaginary line that divided the Nagas. This history is indeed one of the crudest things that has ever happened to the Nagas. It is not practical, nor wise, or reasonable. It is politically theological. The first thing we need to analyze, as I said, is why this FMR has been abolished for 31 years of its existence. In the year 1953, they have already divided us mentally, and now they want to divide us physically or mentally. And this, I think, we should not do it. So in my research, while going through, since time immemorial, let us remember, Nagas have been living in our own God-given land, in our own way of life, with our traditions and customs long before the birth of India and Burma. There has been before India got its independence in 16 August 1947 and Burma got its independence in 4 January 1948. We were living freely. We were never under their rule. We were sovereign. From the beginning, both India and Burma operated a free movement regime for the tribal communities living along population of all the countries bordering Burma to travel to Burma without passport or permit. Without any passport and permits, we were allowed to, provided that they live within that 40 kilometers. In previously it was 40 kilometers on the border. In 1950, again in 1950, India also amended the passport rule to allow the tribes residing within 40 kilometers around the border to travel to India and stay up to 72 hours. 72 hours if they free. But on 10 March 1967, Burma and India signed the boundary treaty, which delimited the common frontier in details. In 1968, India unilaterally introduced a permit system for traveling across the border. In 2004, India reduced the travel limits to 16 kilometers. In 2014, India proposed a formal agreement with Myanmar, and after negotiations, an agreement of land border crossing was signed by the two countries in 11 May 2018. So from 2018 onwards, it was reduced to 16 kilometers, and till date, it has been there. So I think this old age practice, I think, needs to continue. And yes, as indigenous people, we should come together, raise our voice together, put a representation to the government so that the government takes up in the assembly pass the resolution. Nevertheless, for me, I should say, this is a blessing in disguise. Such issues brings another people together. Or else we're hopelessly divided, we're getting backdated. Usually we go, we're going to the extreme. But these issues bring us together. Today, why are we having this meeting? Today, why are we seeing familiar faces? We see each other because of such issues. So we should take it positively. These issues are brought up together, and let us stand our ground, fight this common right. Thank you.
I wouldn't go into the introductions to save time, but I think the main issue that we are confronted today is reconsidering FMR removal and border fencing. Now, I think these are some of the burning issues which we are confronted today in the Northeast region, and what we need to find out exactly where it has emanated from. Now, what is the genesis of this FMR, and what has compelled the government of India through the Home Ministry to declare for border fencing in the whole of the eastern borders. We are all well aware that we are covered by 1,643 kilometers of border, and majority of the borderline is in Arunachal Pradesh. Then I think Nagaland also covers almost about 250 kilometers, and so forth. Now, in this whole issue, we have to contemplate on how we should approach, or how we should take care of persuading the government of India of revoking this FMR, as well as the border fencing issue. Now, if we look from a very pragmatic point of view, to cover 1,600 plus fencing is not a joke. It is physically impossible also. If you consider the terrain, the difficult terrain, the mountains, all these are very areas where it is uninhabited, you just cannot access also. At the same time, it is going to be very costly also. And to man the whole area for security purpose, I think the government of India will have to think twice or thrice, so that there is some pragmatism in whatever approach they should. You are well aware that the boundary, where the boundary lines are going, is going through a lot of these And the people who are taking decisions have been also influenced by various elements, and that is also coerced by some of their own personal agendas or political agendas, which are not conducive for the guiding people of the area. So in other words, we need to have a very strong stand against it. And we have to find out valid reasons why they are doing so also. Now if we think in terms of politically or geopolitics, or for that matter, on the trade front or economy, I think government of India and Myanmar have a very good relation. I think Myanmar also depends a lot on the government of India, and at the same time, I think government of India has a lot to offer to them also. And in the geopolitical scenario, there is a need to create a balance between the social existence, the political as well as the economic. So in this regard, we feel that the government of India has announced this on haste. And I think the timing of the announcement is also very dubious, I think. It's very suspicious because we have a general election in 2024, April. Why the announcement now? And for that matter, when we talk in terms of Manipur, the conflict started on May of last year. And it is through that conflict that all these things are emanating. But I'm very happy that the government of Nagaland or the legislators have unilaterally, of course, they are going to pass it to the assembly, that's what I believe, against this FMR. And I'm sure the other states like Arunachal and the other neighboring states who are affected will also follow suit. But as far as Manipur is concerned, I need not say much because I think we all know what are the undercurrents out there. There are tacit support for whatever has culminated today in Manipur, which is very unfortunate, and at the same time, I think it reflects a very dangerous threat, which we as Northeasters are confronting with. So these are the areas I believe that we should all put our heads in mind and come out with some sort of a solution or some sort of a movement which will persuade the government of India not to take any reckless decisions like this, which on the long run is definitely going to create more problems than solutions. Thank you.
So, good evening. It's a real privilege to be here, and I'm thankful to the Naga Indigenous Peoples Forum for inviting me to be able to address this very distinguished audience. I cannot possibly match the kind of passion and eloquence that I have seen from the Nagas and other northeastern tribals represented today. So I will concentrate on a few points of what I think are logic. But I also want to say that actually most of what I want to say has already been written in an article that I wrote in the Deccan Herald on February 3, which is available in its online full version. And for those of you who are interested in going to it a little deeper, please do try to access that article. So I just elaborate on a couple of points. The first is the historical point. The fact is that there was never any border between the cross-border line ever. They were first introduced by the British after the Treaty of Yandabo, and really with some variations, that is what has continued until independent India. And even the British and subsequently the Burmese government and the Indian government recognized that it was futile and in fact dangerous. It would invite trouble to try and create a hard frontier between India and Burma at that time, and all governments until now have let that continue. And that has a logical consequence. Through a lot of cross-border tribal populations, indigenous populations of the region, they accepted that border, even if they didn't actually accept it, as many have spoken about an imaginary line. They accepted that border so long the FMR continued. So if today that FMR is lifted and we have a border fence erected between, kindred communities on both sides of the border, there is a grave risk that that entire line will be questioned from both sides. And there will be territorial claims that will be made from the Indian side or from the tribal side to that side and vice versa. So that's a very important point, and it's a risk that we are taking if we pursue this particular line of course of action. The second point is, these lines and these borders, what was there before? The fact is, today people talk about NRC 1951, NRC 1961, or whatever you may say along a particular line. The reality is that it's the line that is artificial. Historically, people from these areas have always migrated. Every single community in the Northeast has migrated, has its origins somewhere, other than those who are truly originally autochthonous and indigenous. So the problem is with the line. Historically, people have moved. And today you can't suddenly say that this line is a kind of axiomatic reality that nobody can transgress or violate. But along with that, the whole question comes, why? I think people raise this question about why bringing this, measure right away. And I'd like to make 2 points there. The first is it's very clear that there is a link to the Manipur crisis. And in effect, the interests of one state or one state government representing one ethnicity has been prioritized over all the other tribal communities of the Northeast. And all this has been done without the minimal consultation. So in many ways, it is purely anti-tribal and anti-democratic and should be opposed on that very simple ground. But there's a second thing. Actually, if you see, and I'm very grateful to the representative of Naga Rising to point out some of the unofficial nature of what has been imposed. But if you see the statements that have come out, actually no reason has been given for the lifting of the FMR and the imposition of border fencing. And we are left to guess why this is. Again, I have addressed this in my article, but the point is that they are all linked to, so to say, illegal activities or, insurgent movement and so on, either security or illegal activities. The presumption is that somehow all this is being done by the tribals on both sides of the border. So there's a kind of inherent criminalization of the tribal peoples that is implicit in such a decision and therefore should be opposed on that ground. And finally, there are several points that I could make, but let me point out one thing. If you actually talk to people in the Ministry of Home Affairs, they will try to say, no, this is not anti-tribal, this is just, regulation. And after all, there is regulation between boundaries all over the world, including Europe, which has the freest movement possible. But the fact of the matter is, I don't know how many of you know that in 2015, India switched from the border trade arrangement that had been around for years to the MFN, that is most favored nation kind of treatment in our trade with Burma. And in 2018, we installed an integrated check post at Pori. In 2019, actually it was the Prime Minister who inaugurated it. Incidentally, the 2000 bilateral agreement that you referred to, if you see the press release and the explanation for it, it's all about enabling movement. And everything. And today, 4 years later, you impose measures that in fact disable all that movement. So I was was telling you about the ICP and the fact that we switched from border trade to most favored nation trade. But having done that, we have an immigration office there, but till today we do not have a customs office. So if regulation is the real reason why you want to introduce this, in order to soft pedal all the other issues, then the first simple thing is why not have a customs office that can regulate all the illegal trade or enforce it. So there is a looping hole, gaping hole out there in the simple fact that you've moved from one system of trade to another system of trade, but you haven't introduced the mechanisms that are meant to govern it. As a result of which, that has become a magnet for informal trade in permissible items, as well as a gap that is being exploited for all kinds of illegal trade. And finally, and I think this is a very important point, about the linkage with the Manipur problem. So far we are treating the Manipur problem as a problem between Meiteis and Kukis, or Kuki-Zo, Mahar-Zo people. And in a way, especially other communities in the Northeast have a lot of sympathy for one side or the other side, but they have kept a hands-off distance. Now you see that if you keep a hands-off distance, one day the fire is going to come to your house. And what this announcement of FMR and fencing has done is to show that the fire in Manipur is now reaching all the states of the Northeast. And therefore, it is time for the Northeast to realize that these measures are designed against all the tribes, cross-border tribes, and in fact unite and join hands and oppose it as vigorously as it's possible, knowing full well that we still don't know the real intentions, whether it is just an electoral ploy or whether it is competing notions. The Manipur Chief Minister wants something, but the Home Ministry wants something else. After all, the Home Minister talked about impenetrable borders. And if you look at India today now, we have virtually a visa border with Afghanistan. We have a visa border and fencing with Pakistan. We have virtually no cross-border movement with China. We have a border fence with Bangladesh. And finally, now we are going to have a 1,600 kilometer border fence with Myanmar, which, as Mr. Jamil pointed out, is physically impossible and ruinously expensive to try to implement. And even if it is done, it will be implemented partially and it will be targeted against one community or the other that they wish to target at that particular point in time. So I think in all these grounds, it is something that we should be aware of the games that the governments are playing and prepare ourselves accordingly. Thank you, and I'd like to thank the moderators.
Putting it so much, I want to put it very bluntly. Why are you here today? Because Amit Shah ensured that you come together here today. FMR, we're not here to talk about FMR. You were never asked. You were not important to the Home Minister of the country. You were not consulted. Your house is being torn apart, but they didn't ask you. That's why you're angry. You're here. And that anger is good. Just the fact that we all were shouting, single voices, writing memorandums, the Nagas, the Kukis, the Mizos, even our Akom brothers, they don't share a border with Myanmar, but they came. Single voices here and there, when it's scattered, it doesn't, make the people in power listen to you. But just the fact that all of them have come together there. It's not just us. If you look at the people coming here, you don't have to be tribal to know that this is unjust. So we're here today, and that is what Delhi will hear. I think we should thank because they'll be saying a word of thanks and there will be no one to thank them. So I think I should thank them because, when an idea is being shared, it doesn't come from a person. It comes from above, right? So the injustice that has been done to us as a Northeasterner, today let us for once think as a Northeasterner or as people whose house is divided without being asked. So I think we should thank the Home Minister of the country. He brought us together. Normally we don't come together. And the good aspect of me speaking last is, I think I should be the last because it's getting kind of drag. It's a drag now. So don't have to say any technical stuff, right? Because everybody knows that we need to oppose this. How do we oppose it? So I think one of the last speaker talked about the legal aspect of it. And we drivers, we say, we'll fight. That is our spirit. And that's good. We have to fight. But there are many ways to fight it. Constitutional means and legal means is something we overlooked. And today, I'm so happy that there are representatives from Mizoram, from Manipur, and even from Nagaland. There are so many organizations which have stood up in Assam, and we are hearing. I mean, people from across the globe. I mean, like our sister speaking last before me. It was an inspiration in itself, and so many of us saw so many things. I think. I don't know if coming today is something that we should go back home and sleep. That's no point. It's the start of our journey. Why we meet on FMR? FMR is not important. I want you to remember one thing. You were not consulted as a stakeholder. And that is something, the first assault on your freedom starts with when you're not consulted. And those many things, this is the beginning. You will not be consulted for so many other things, your rights, which you think is sacrosanct, 371A, C, whatever. So without dragging on, I think today we came together as a Northeasterner, as people who are affected. So that tiny voices or memorandums that we write becomes a big voice. I think just by coming together, Delhi is going to hear us. I will not say more than that, but then there are a few things that I want to propose. Since the indigenous leaders are here, I think we should make a declaration and also a concrete forum who can take this forward. Because let us come together. Our problems are not per se a Naga problem, a Kuki problem, a Mizo problem, a Assamese problem. Nobody is hearing us in Delhi. That is our problem. We are not being consulted. That is the real problem. Now in Manipur, we didn't respond. We were quiet. That's how they killed us. So the next thing, you're not consulted, the next thing, action will be taken against you and you will not know. So the forces that is not in the interest of the very idea of India is also quietly creeping up into our lives and attacking us. So, as Tagore said, Jago, we as Northeasterners, let's wake up. I would say that much, and then I would thank the leaders here and also the moderator for giving me the time. I thought I won't speak, I'll be the one listening. But then I realized that Home Minister ne to pucha nahi, notice walon ko pucha nahi, I should also speak up. I think we should all speak up. Speak up, take a stand, make a noise. And today, this voice, when we speak in every corner, now that we come together, it's a big voice now, and Amit Shah is going to have a sleepless night. Thank you so much.
It's also something universal. There are wars, there are friends all over the world. So it's also, myself, I have no border. My father is from India, from South India. My mother is from Germany. I grew up in France. And what I wanted to share with you is like I have heard something, I was a little bit touched about Longwa village because I have spent time last year in this village. As everybody knows here, there is a fence. There is not a fence right now. There is a border. On the border is like the people, the farmer. The people are very poor in that area. Cognac, as everybody knows here. And their farm are on Arunachal side, on Burma side. So I heard these people talking recently about this fence. And I was very sad. So they said, if they cannot go to their farm, what are they doing? They're going to starve. Who cares? The laws are made in in Delhi, as everybody know, in offices, in places where nobody comes to the village, nobody, I don't know here who this all who is here today, if you travel to villages, but if you see the condition of these people, so I guess the people who made the law, they don't care. They don't, what I understand is like regulation about migrants, people coming illegally to the place. So anyway, that's not, the farmers and the people who live on this border, they have families in Arunachal, in Myanmar, in different parts of this place. They will just divide these people. It's very sad. I feel very, as this man said, so we are human beings. We are living with each other. There is no border. The border is in your mind. I mean, geography, as someone said about geography and security, is not geography, it's human beings. It's more about education. Putting a fence is going to waste money, and we can make much more better things for all these people. Nagaland or Manipur, Mizoram, Bangladesh, all, I mean, we are just human beings, and I think it's also something not to forget today. And what else I would like to say, there is one lawyer here in this place, and what I heard once is like, when the law is not just, we should we should change the law. And I think this is what we should do. Because talking about violence, if the response is going to be violence, who is going to suffer? Again, it's going to be the poor, it's going to be the farmers, it's going to be the one who doesn't have anything. They are going to be the one who have the most suffering about the situation. So I don't think violence will be the best way. And it's like law, you just change the law if the law is not just. This is what I think. And I'm happy to be in Nagaland, and voilà. So I wanted to talk and to say what I say now. So thank you to all of us.
Nagaland GB Federation is a village from Nagaland. Anyway, I appeal the non-speaks of Naganese. I will speak against this free movement region regarding fencing. So on behalf of the Nagaland Village Chief, GB Federation, we're all talking about this, hearing about this Hindu-Naga minor border fencing. In the grassroots level, we are all talking about it. Because Nagas are divided. Things wrong. And we've been against. So many decades we have been against divided. Because of it. So I will speak in Nagalandese. Please bear with me. Nagamanu man beget traditional government of India over gold growth. Because of divide and rule, our village chief house right in the border, kitchen is inside of Nagaland, and the room, sleeping room is that Myanmar. To divide program, Imam Degat Kotha Puri yeah. Nagas of Nagaland has given mandate to the revolution, and the negotiation has completed. But what the government of India is applying double standard to the Nagas. Sorry, I am just particularly talking about since within our not only Nagaland I am just speaking. Nagas, that's why Amar Naga that has been agreed since 3rd August 2015 for a framework with the negotiation saying that Government of India recognize the unique history and of the Naga's position. Nagaland Kota said, wherever Nagas, Government of India promise and agree that we recognize the unique history of Nagas. Wherever Nagas. Nagas are more I cannot number the villages, but most of the Naga, part of Naga land is within the country of the Myanmar. And another, in order to bring the government of India position in order to bring honorable and inclusive solution to globally with all it as agreed position. And Government of India has agreed that Government of India recognize the historical and political right of the Nagas to self-determination. It's been done. Agreement with the Nagas has been done on 17 November 2018. And now, fencing bordering. Is it that a plan double standard with the Nagas or with the Northeast people? So, this is the right time that Northeast people, indigenous people, and we all cooperate and appeal to the Government of India to reconsider.
I'm here by chance following the ambassador, but hearing all the speakers, I like to share my thoughts in a form of questions, 3 questions. The first question is, I think all of us are inherently asking ourselves, what will happen? You know, the Home Minister has said so that fencing FMR will be scrapped. So we are asking what will happen. We are trying to predict a future, and I refuse to believe that after hearing all the speakers, if we are united, we can oppose and we can defend it. And I think that is a good question we are asking, what will happen. That will also give us a kind of unity in our response to this move by the central government. I think the second question which we are asking is, what should happen? So we are saying this should not happen. The answer is, we are saying this should not happen. That is our agreement. Every one of us are opposing it, and we are saying that this should not happen. We have many reasons, and I agree totally to that. But the third question I am trying to ask ourselves in the future, some of us are suggesting that, we should start a movement. So in that context, I like to present it a kind of a question we should ask is, what could happen? So many things can happen in the future. It's good that the government at this juncture has come up with this proposal that we will fence. So it has given us a chance how we should, as a Northeasterners, tribals, Christians, or a group of people, that we need to come together and think what should happen. So I am taking this opportunity that you and I are here to influence the future. You and I will not be here after 20 years, but we have started thinking what we can do to influence the future. Sometimes if you look at the trend of how we have responded to what happened to us in the Northeast, we are adapting to the situation because we cannot do it anything, and so we adapt it and we accept it. But now we are questioning that this is not acceptable and we should influence in our favor. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the Nagaland Indigenous Peoples Forum for this platform. In fact, we are here to learn more about this issue. Many distinguished guests have already spoken, and what the sir have put forward, I strongly support to that. Today, yes, indeed, our organization is strongly supporting this cause. We're here to oppose tooth and nail. However, today I'll be putting from a perspective of an individual how this is going to affect in case of this decision if the government anyway go ahead. So, history, I'll not touch upon the history as people have already spoken, but the border between India and Myanmar that divides especially the Nagas and also the indigenous people, in case if this FRN is reconsidered, then that will get rid of the agreement not only puts this freedom, the freedom that we enjoy as of now, will be risked and also damage our shared history, tradition, and family bonds. And we have already said one village which was divided in between. That is one example. The way the boundary was drawn in 1953, as many speakers have already touched upon, without the consent. That is why we are here today. The government lack of concern for the Naga people is also, or the indigenous people, is also really disappointing and disrespectful. And the government needs to understand and the value of historical and cultural connections that are important to the indigenous people. These connections are more than just where we live. They're like a strong river that runs through us. That is what I want to put forward. Connecting us to our ancestors and to each other. We can live together peacefully, of course. We ask the government to think again. In case if they are planning to go ahead, as people have put forward, practically it is challenging. However, if they are going ahead with this, and as many speakers have said, then we ask the government to first talk to the communities affected by it, recognizing the deep historical and cultural ties that define the Nagas or the indigenous people, where our family bonds are sacred and should be respected. And without that, like one speaker has said, it will be like soul putting on the wounds. So we will not stay quiet. And I once again appreciate the Nagaland indigenous people for organizing this. And I believe that all Northeastern indigenous people will come together in future also. And maybe one recommendation, why not we start a movement, practical movement to raise a voice so that the Indian government should also heard not only coming together in this kind of platform, but also practically, if we move ahead and raise our voice, and that is what I recommend to today's organizing committee. Thank you.